This is day 6 of our pilgrimage to Lisieux, and I'm here at Le Buissonnet, which is the home where Therese, her father and her sisters moved after the death of Madame Martin in Alençon. Here they moved to be nearer their cousins and to their uncle and aunt Isidore Guérin and his wife.
And this is a very important room in the story of her life. We see behind me the bed where she lay ill with an unknown illness, and they were very much worried, the Martin family, that Therese was going to die. So they were gathered around her bed praying. At this point, Therese said that the statue here, not the original statue of the Virgin of the Smiles can be found above the grave of St Therese at the Carmelite convent. This is a copy of the Virgin of Smiles, which Therese said smiled at her, curing her from her unknown illness, where she lay here at the Buissonnet.
Well, we've now arrived at the end of our pilgrimage to Lisieux and Alençon, and we prepare now to return to Scotland and begin in earnest our preparations for the welcoming of the relics of St Therese to our country in September of this year.
I'd have to say it's been a fantastic, amazing and moving experience to learn about this saint. I do have to admit that I didn't really know much about her life or anything about her, aside from the fact that there are numerous churches back home which have statues dedicated to her. And I also knew the fact that she was, of course, one of the youngest doctors of the church, but I didn't know why. So having come on this journey and this pilgrimage to film, I've realised just how much she actually is an inspiration to every Catholic the world over for the way she lived her life. But not just St Therese, also her wider family as well, and her recently canonised parents, St Louis and St Zélie. And we hope, God willing, too, her sisters will also be canonised and join a family of saints.
It has been an incredible week we have spent here in Lisieux. Before our journey, I knew very little about St Therese's life. Of course, I'd seen images of her and statues of her in churches around Scotland, as well as having seen a photograph of the young Therese that always sat in my nana's house. It's been a real learning experience for me, learning St Therese's little way, as well as learning that her parents, Louis and Zélie Martin, have also been declared saints for the way that they lived their family life.
It's been an extraordinary week of graces. First of all, the weather has been excellent, unprecedented for this area.
I think St Therese really has guided us in our journey here in France. We've met some very kind people who have given their own time very generously to share their knowledge of St Therese and to help us tell her story as best as possible. It's also been very interesting to learn more about the entire Martin family, and that all of St Therese's surviving sisters, they all entered religious orders and all devoted their lives to the service of God.
One of the things that I've encountered over the past week is a number of Scottish connections that I knew nothing about. Certainly I knew of Canon Taylor's interest in the Little Flower, but I didn't know that he had donated 2 altars in the Chapel of Carmel, sadly now have been dismantled due to recent renovations. Also a stained glass window of St Therese receiving her father's blessing as she enters Carmel. And the wonderful story of Mr and Mrs Grant, no relation of mine, who were converts to Catholicism, and we believe Father, as he was then, Taylor, instructed them, and they attributed their conversion to the influence of St Therese, and who then came out here with the canon as he would become, and they became the first guardians of the birthhouse, the birthplace of St Therese in Alençon. So there's a number of Scottish connections of which we're very proud.
So now I do get it. I do get the devotion to St Therese of Lisieux. I feel very close to her now and her family after having experienced firsthand the places she lived and the environments that she spent her life in. And it shows us, it teaches us that yeah, she was well off. She had a lot of troubles in her life as well, a lot of losses in her life, losing her mother at 4 and becoming very ill, suffering from anxiety. But I realised that, you know, that she shows us the way of true happiness, which is faith in God, and giving oneself totally to God. So she definitely deserves the title Doctor of the Church.
I feel truly blessed to have had the opportunity to come here to Lisieux and to visit the Basilica to St Therese behind me, and to see so many places so closely associated with her life. From her birth house in Alençon to the place where she took her first steps at Semilly, her years at Lisieux and in the Carmel. It's all been such a moving and touching experience to be able to feel so close to St Therese herself. So I'm really thankful to have had the experience to come here to Lisieux and to learn so much more about the life of St Therese.
We've a number of people to thank for all our help and assistance we've had this week. But the first person I think we should thank is Almighty God for our safe arrival here, and please God for our safe return, and for the beautiful weather with which He has blessed us, uncharacteristically good, we believe, for this time of the year. Beautiful sun every single day we've been here filming. So we thank God for that. We thank God and we thank everyone here, the guardian of the grotto, the Père Ruffray, the Deacon Guy Fournier from Alençon, Madame Claire and Madame Laurence, who gave us so much information here, and our friend who's been in contact with us from America, from the United States, from Philadelphia, Maureen O'Riordan, who has emailed us every day with more and more and more information, which has been invaluable to the making of our video. You've only seen short pieces of the video, but the lads have got hours and hours and hours of footage which they'll now go back home and edit into a much longer piece, which we will share with you bit by bit in the lead up to the visit of the relics of St Therese in September.
Everybody in Scotland, every Catholic in Scotland, whether you're a practicing Catholic, whether you're just interested, should come out and visit these relics when they come here, because it is going to be something that's going to transform your life if you immerse yourself in the story of the little flower.
And finally, it's thanks to St Therese herself for bringing us all here safely to Lisieux. God willing, later in the year we will return again, and that time we will return with St Therese, bringing her to Scotland.